we need to do something for the education system. I'm not sure exactly what, but I do want to give you the floor to just share what your ideas are for education, because this is something that you are familiar with. This was a big part of your platform, and I think still is.
I will give you one of the reasons, the biggest reason. There are many reasons why, but the biggest reason why education is failing in America is because of federal oversight and federal money. Biggest reason. There are many, but this is the biggest one. Why? Because the federal government is only about giving money back to the schools and school districts and states based upon test scores. That's a huge part of what it is. No child left behind. Wow, that was stupid. All those horrible, that's again, another law that means nothing. Change the culture and the law is relevant, right? So another law that's relevant. So the government decides we're gonna do no child left behind or whatever it's gonna do, right? So now what does it force the school districts to do? They gotta get paid. They're incentivized by getting paid. They're incentivized by two things in high school. Two, one, graduation rate. I'm sorry, not graduation, sorry, college placement rate. College placement rate, another disaster. Lots of kids shouldn't go to college. College is not magic.
Trade schools.
It's not magic.
Yeah, especially
or
now.
Get a job or something.
Right.
I'm not against college.
No,
if you say to yourself, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a teacher, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be an engineer, mathematician, college is your answer. I got it. No worries, right? But if you go, I just kind of want to start working. I don't know, go work.
Yeah.
Go to college when you're 25, 26, when you change your mind, right? Go learn how to do something that you enjoy. Then you realize, you know what? I want to move up now. Good, go get a college degree and move up. What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
This is what we should be doing in America. But anyway, those are two reasons why. So now the high school is given accolades for putting kids in college and by having good high test scores. That's all they focus on. So you can't get a civics class anymore. That's why you can't get a class on home ec. You can't get that except in a private school because they're taking federal money, and that's a waste of time and energy. That's not on a test. Civics is not in a test. So why the hell are we doing civics?
Yeah.
Right? Home ec, shop. That's not on a test. Why are we doing that? Plus, if I give him a shop class, the kid might not go to college, he might go to trade school. That screws up my numbers. I got to pump kids into college because the federal government's backing all these bank loans. So I got to keep supporting the industrial complex, the bank industrial complex, by shoving kids into debt they can't handle and crushing them for 20 years. I got to keep doing that. That's why we're incentivized. So number one issue to do is to get off of the federal teat, right?
Yeah.
How do you do that? Here is how you do it. You get off of all the teats. The first thing you do is you now fund your schools in a very simple way, a grossly simple way. Okay, school district, how many children do you have? You have this amount times X. Here is your check. Good luck. That's it. No grants, no strings, no nothing. Here's your money. If you don't spend it right now in New York State, in many states, they punish you. So you have to keep spending. We are encouraging fraud, waste, and abuse. The system is set up for fraud, waste, and abuse. Yeah. But if I instead said, take it, and if you don't spend it, then save it for next year. Now you can be frugal if you want to. And now you build a new football field when your school requires a new football field. Not because you apply for a grant to me in New York State and my buddy is a contractor, developer, so I give him the federal money or the state money so you can build a football field because he needs extra cash. So now I start pumping out ideas to build 7 football fields, which happens all the time. But instead you just get it. But not just that. You get it for the school district. It doesn't matter where those kids are. So if a kid leaves a different district, they get more money. So the more kids in the district, the more money it gets. So by default, it is now in the best interest of the district to make the parents and the students happy. That now becomes your incentive. The incentive isn't to make the federal government happy. So if the kids want a farming class, you can have a farming class. If the parents want a civics class, you can have a civics class because the parents are going to be happy to move their kids there. But not just that. You give every kid, every parent who wants to either homeschool voluntarily, no force, homeschool and or private school, you give them a credit. Let's say, for example, in your state, my state's grossly high. It's $28,000 per kid. It's insanely high. The highest in the country, and we are terrible. Yeah. But let's say it's $10,000 per kid. I'm making the number up. You say $10,000 per kid, and if you want to homeschool or private school, we'll give you a $2,000 voucher. Made that up. $2,000 voucher. However, here's the rules. If you want to homeschool your kid or go to private school, you may still use the facilities in the state-run school. So you could be a homeschooler, but be on the local football team.
Yeah.
You could be in private school, but be in the chess club. So you could still retain community while you could still have separate schooling. But you know what? You're paying for the school district anyway. So let your kid be in a damn football team if he wants to be on a team, or chess club, or whatever is the thing, or, go to prom, or whatever is the thing. You do that, you will encourage communities to create their own rules. Why? Because now you decide, I'm going to start, teaching my kids at home. When other people go, can you teach mine too? Well, that's $4,000 a year for you now.
Yeah.
You will basically have to begin your own school if you want to. Good for you. You get 10 students, you got 20 grand. 20 students, you got 40 grand. Huh, starting to make some cash now. Now, if you want to, now up to you, you could charge them extra. You don't have to charge them just 2 grand. That's what they get. You might charge them 3 grand. So they just pay $1,000 out of pocket.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, you're getting 3 grand per kid. So now a poor person can afford a private school if they want to, or they just go to the regular school, which will have to be better. Why? It's competing against all the schools. Mm-hmm. But not just that, the district has to be good. So the school's not even angry. If that school district has a lot of private schools in it, it's still getting cash for the kids in the school because it still has to support them on extracurricular activities. So it's in its best interest to have happier people, happier students, happier parents. The incentive changes. You will have better students. But something else, once you remove the federal and state guidelines, you know what also goes away? Administrators.
Yeah.
They go away.
Just
the biggest reason why
bureaucracy and stuff like that.
You got it.
Yeah.
There's no need for it. It goes away. When I was a kid, you had 1 principal and 3 vice principals. You're done. And my high school had 2,000 people in it. And it was 4, top people, and that was it. Right? And some admin staff. We had some office staff. That was about it. Well, you'll go back to that. Why? There's no need to spend the time writing grants and seeing if you have this and seeing if you have that and making sure the state is happy. And it's irrelevant. Now, in New York State, I'm probably sure it's similar in California, but in New York State, the average school teacher makes about $80,000 a year, give or take, which is a good salary in most parts of New York. Certain parts, city, not so great, but most parts of New York, that's a decent salary. Yeah. That's a livable salary in most parts of New York State. Administrators make double that.
Yes.
Yes, double that. So now if you dump 2 administrators, you can either hire more students hire more teachers if you want to, or give teachers raises, or buy more stuff. But guess who doesn't decide that? Me as the governor. You locally. And what people always say is, but Larry, teachers can make mistakes and principals might screw up. Yeah, because they're human. That could absolutely happen. But if they screw up, yes, that's happening now. Plus, if the governor screws up in New York, like the idiot that we had with that Common Core disaster we put into my state, I just literally, we lost a generation of kids because of that stupid Common Core math thing we did. Now the whole state collapses. But to your point, let's say some local community decides to adopt Common Core and they screw up. Bad, but just them. We can now repair them. And so that's a whole different issue. But not just that. I've got to trust somebody, right? And if I got to decide who to trust, you know who I'm going to trust? A teacher who has spent literally years and years learning how to be a teacher, jumped through hoops, went to college, went to school, did blah, 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 just so they can do this. If I'm trusting anybody, it's teacher.
Well, that's the issue that that I think is important. Is I talk to a lot of teachers, and I am a teacher, and obviously, and all that kind of stuff. The teachers also want less administration. There was a meme going around of someone shoveling, and then like a whole bunch of people with clipboards standing around, and they said the person shoveling's a teacher, and then this is like the diversity, equity, inclusion person. This is the differentiation person, and that's something that teachers are sending around. Teacher Instagram. So teachers are behind this idea of cutting down the bureaucracy.
They love my idea.
Yeah, the people who are getting out of teaching, it's not just the money. People who say like we need to fund the schools, it's not that. I mean, I can say this confidently. It's let teachers do their thing. The reason I left public school and went to a religious private school that I'm at is I went to a place where they said, Bruce, just you do you. And I understand that could lead to the idea of teaching bad ideas, that people are flawed. And this could lead to when you give people more freedom, then they can do bad things.
It's happening en masse now.
It's happening now. And you can reveal that with the technology we have today of getting ideas out there with all these different things, rate my professor and all this kind of stuff. You get more feedback when you are bad. It's hard to stay. I mean, you can do it, stay in an echo chamber and stuff like that, obviously, but big bad ideas going out en masse, you can reveal them to be flawed. So a lot of what you're saying is this is the freedom element, but people say like, you know, whose responsibility is to fix the country? Is it our job or the government's job? And I keep saying, like, what do you think the government is? We are the government. These are just people with 9-to-5 jobs. 9-to-5 jobs.
We
like,
aren't anymore, my friend. We're not the government anymore. We're not.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Like
we're not.
But that's true. But we're supposed to be the ones who are in these positions. But now there's been this class differentiation where they are from these schools and their daddy was in this or their uncle was in this, and they just keep running. And then it's the same people that are working for the New York Times. It's the same people that are working as the professors in these universities, and all of them are kind of lumped in together.